And on the hit list tonight, we are lucky to be joined by Victor Ray. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us this evening. Where are you joining us from today? Because I know you've been touring quite a bit.
Yes, I finally stopped moving around. It was all a bit much. I'm back in London, trying to chill for a second.
Oh, but what does chilling look like for you? I mean, pop stars, artists that are always on the road, and I know, you know, as well with musicians, they're so passionate about what they do. They can't like leave a microphone or an instrument alone, can they, for too long, or they get withdrawals. So,
literally,
what does a day off look like for Victor Ray?
It's hard. I try to just be at home or go for a walk, play video games. Try to if I'm proper burnt out, then I will try to not sing or think of ideas or melodies, but it always ends up happening anyway, so it's pretty useless, to be honest, but I'm trying.
Well, keep trying because it works, and I know it's also difficult now as well with TikTok and social media, because you might then look at an idea, and of course for yourself, you're up and coming, you're building an audience, so you're always looking at different content and content ideas. to try and leave that phone alone must be difficult. But I did see you put a quite cute TikTok up the other day of then versus now. The first shot was you busking in London. I wanted to just take you back to that time for a minute. What was that like? Because whenever I'm in London seeing someone busk, I'm like, God, this must be more difficult than entertaining 10,000 people in an arena. It's just people everywhere.
You know what it is? I've invited a few singers and artists to come busking with me before, and all of them are, well, at least most of them are this is so much worse than a show. They're so nervous. That's how I started performing, really. When I was 16, 17, I started in Newcastle busking, and then I moved down here to save money. So the experience, I don't know, man. I love it because it's very liberating. But, you never know what's going to happen. When you're on London streets, it's a bit mental.
Yeah, and then next over from you, 10 yards away, is someone doing wheelies on a bike, also getting an audience around them. It's very, you don't know what's happening there or there, do you?
Yeah, it's mad. It's a whole competition as well, because there's so many buskers. When I first started out, it was just me, and I could be there for as long as I want. But now you have to queue up. It's a whole thing. You
know, Tom Walker, right? Love Tom Walker, amazing voice. He's doing this thing at the moment where he goes around and he does Tom's Towns, and he goes and performs in different towns. And he told me the reason why he's doing it is because there's a lot of towns that don't get tours. And it's always good to go and meet his fans at those places and people that like his music. But also he just loves being out and playing music to the public and to get those authentic reactions. Is that something that you love doing as well?
Mate, absolutely. It's the most raw form of performance. There's no obligation, no one's paid money, so there's no expectation. But when I sing on the street and I'm feeling it, and then someone else stops, that transaction is mad. It's actually quite a magical thing. So I love it. I get why Tom does that.
Yeah, and it's a start of a relationship as well with potentially a new audience as well, which can blossom into something beautiful, of course. And nice little segue into something beautiful that's been happening to you recently is touring with Teddy Swims. I mean, what's that been like?
Mental. It was amazing. Teddy is a sweetheart. I love that guy. Mental. He's just such a lovely guy, and he's the exact same person on stage and off, so that just made me very happy. I fit right in. We were all over the country, went to Ireland as well. Mate, it was mad.
And can we just maybe swoon a bit for a minute? His voice. Oof. How good, you've seen him now on stage many a times. How good is Teddy Swims?
It's ridiculous. Okay, so when I first met Teddy, we were busking, and one of the songs we sang was Crazy by Niles Barkley. Yeah. And in the video that I put online, when he hits that high note, I literally look around this cannot be real life, because he sounds better in real life than he does on the tracks. It's nuts. He's mad.
Is he one of your favourite artists at the moment as well? I mean, I know you're probably quite biased now because you've toured with him, but is he one of those artists that you do now look up to and think the way that he's managed to get in the mainstream, the way he's building his audience, is he a big inspiration for you?
Absolutely. I used to watch his YouTube covers years ago, before he even was releasing his own music. So, mate, his journey has been one that I've been watching for a while. So, yeah, he's a huge inspiration.
You know what you got to do next? You got to dress up as Santa at Christmas and do a little YouTube Christmas show like he did. He's never going to be able to lose that. He's never going to be able to forget that.
No. That's forever. That lives forever.
YouTube doesn't forget. I know you mentioned there about going out and singing with Teddy. We've seen a few, again, TikTok videos from you two in London. You did take him out onto the streets. Did he take much convincing to go and do that with you?
Nah, he reached out. He actually wanted to come join me. I was like, right, this is the first time someone's, wanted to come out. It was 10 a.m. It was freezing cold in London. Like, I was like, are you sure? But he was more than up for it.
Oh, it's wicked. He does seem like a fun-going guy, and we've seen recently with Gracie Abrams going on tour with Taylor Swift. They managed to make some time to nearly set fire to an apartment and write a song together, and that's done amazing things for Gracie Abrams. We've had the track Us on KMFM recently. You and Teddy, could there be something there in the future? Maybe.
Every time I see that guy, we're always like, bro, we need to get in the studio. So I'm gonna make it happen. The next he's so busy. He's like taking over the world right now, so it's hard to pin him down. But next time I see him, I said, listen, if we don't get in the studio, then it's going to be a problem.
I love that.
But he's got so much love. Like on the last show of the tour, he brought me up on stage and we sang together. I've got some videos of that I'm going to put online soon. So it's lovely.
Oh, wicked. Well, it's good to hear about that. And it's also good to hear that you're having fun performing live at the moment. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I expect you're trying to do in terms of riding the wave of the success of I Tried and your track Falling Into Place, which we've loved playing as well recently. But listening to you're a live artist. You love getting on that stage. So tell me a little bit more about what a Victor Ray show is like.
Oof. It's mate, it's the peak. It's the best moment of everything. Like some artists, they love the writing. I love the writing, and the producing, making the tracks. But for me, live performance is like I feel at home. And it's really interesting how my live shows developed. Like a year ago when I was playing shows, it was just me and my guitar, and I'd just be singing to people. But now the last show I did in London, we sold out Lafayette, and I've got a band that I love to death, and they're incredible. And obviously I've been watching Teddy while he's on tour, taking notes, seeing how he performs and everything. But it's amazing. Like I just like to make, experiences, and I think the best thing about live shows is that people walk away with memories that they'll never forget, and just little moments, so I try to make sure that I leave someone with something really special. Your
team were good to me today. They gave me a massive sheet of some of the bits and pieces about you, Victor Ray. And one of the big things that I saw that stood out was that you take a lot of inspiration from Ed Sheeran, and that allowed me to draw some parallels. Now, I know you've got a show coming up in November, haven't you, at Coco in London?
I do.
It's 25th of November, by the way. Go and check that out, guys. Coco in London, a beautiful venue, very, very old, historic venue as well when it comes to music. I was asked at this radio station about 8 years ago to go and watch a guy that was selling a limited amount of tickets as he was breaking through at Coco in London. And that guy was Ed Sheeran. And I thought that's amazing how when Ed Sheeran was starting out, he was also doing shows at Coco in London, someone who you take inspiration from. And now you've got your big show coming up at Coco in London. It's good to see that sort of it's still following in the same footsteps as these artists that are now playing the Wembley shows.
Yes, mate. I love that. Like Ed Sheeran, from, 14, 15, from the A-Team when that came out, I was a mega fan. All the songs I knew. And his journey was just so mind-blowing to me. To see how, I never knew someone could just play guitar and go that far with it. That really opened my eyes to music and in general. So, and he was busking as well at one point. His whole journey is just mad inspirational. And it taught me a lot, but the main thing I took from it is that if I can work as hard as this guy or harder, the possibilities are literally endless. So for you to draw that comparison now with Coco and everything, that's mad. That makes me really happy.
Well, it's also the flexibility with music, right? And you can see it in some of the stuff that you cover and the stuff that you do online, and even your EP I Tried, in terms of that Ed Sheeran is so flexible with going from a slow to a pop to maybe something that could either feature UK rap. I mean, his collaboration albums are incredible. Oof. When you appreciate music like that, it allows you to be quite flexible. What genres are you sort of into? Is what we hear from you what you love, or are you quite genre crazy in your playlist?
Mate, I if you looked at my Spotify playlist or anything, it's a bit mad, it's a bit mental. But I really like how I've been, seeding out my music so far because, I'm still quite early on in my career. So I'm slowly like showing my fans like, oh, okay, I also like this, like R&B and hip hop and, as much as I like the pop and the soul and everything. So I'm slowly feeding everyone a little bit more of my influences. And when we get to the album, it will be the whole, the whole mad collection of everything. But yeah, there's so many. And Ed Sheeran's collaboration albums, like I just thought that was genius, and I have so much love for some of the UK rappers and everything, so I hope to work with a lot of different artists as well.
And what about country music at the moment? That's doing things, isn't it?
Oh, it's doing a lot, right? One of my good friends, an artist called Miles Smith, he's a pop artist as well, and he takes a lot of inspiration from that. And mate, I love that kind of music. Like to me and for me, and I think it's maybe with every like new generation, we feel a bit less like required to like stick to genres. So I feel like music is just getting more and more like genre bending, and I love that. So I hope I can collaborate with so many different kinds of artists.
This is the Hit List. KM FM. The biggest artists.
This is the Hit List. KMFM.
But what I love about you, Victor, and what I love about Miles Smith, and thank you for mentioning him as well, because he's another artist sort of throw in this bracket, is that in a world at the moment where a lot of songs are sampling something that sounds the same as in the past, you guys are creating some really nice original sounding music that can be appreciated. And I'm not saying that stuff can't be, but there is also a place for both to sit side by side. So what is it like for you when you sit down and you like listen to what's out there at the moment and then you go into writing your own stuff? Is it difficult not to maybe fall down that rabbit hole of going, I love Gala Free from Desire, I could use that on a tune?
It is difficult, you know what, it is, but like I think for me, and the way I write music is I've always taken inspiration from stuff I'm listening to. The difference is that I'm listening to, as much older music as I am newer, because, you have to push forward and try to, push boundaries. But, the music from like Nina Simone and Sam Cooke and Michael Jackson, like there's something so timeless about that music. And so I'm always going to refer back to, the classics when I'm trying to, and then add a bit of my, experience and the modern day stuff. But it's tough not to kind of like hear something and be like, yeah, let me just make that today. I don't know. Like, but yeah.
You mentioned MJ there. Can you imagine the amount of people that have tried and it's been like, no.
Mate, like some things you just can't, like it's so specific. Michael Jackson, like when people do it, it's hard to shake away from like, yeah, but you're just not MJ, mate.
Yeah, and no one can be, right? An absolute legend. Well, look, let's talk about some of your music. Listening to your influences and listening to who you are, you've sort of thrown that all into a short but sweet EP. I Tried. Yes. Tell us a little bit more about it.
I Tried is kind of a collection of stories that I'm trying to be a bit more self-aware, show a bit more emotional maturity. With my first two EPs, a lot of it was kind of talking about situations I found myself in, toxic situations sometimes, or family stuff, friendships that end a bit sourly most of the time. And this one was me, trying to take some responsibility. A song called Comfortable was the first one on that I released from this EP, and that was, accepting that, as humans, we're kind of drawn to toxic kind of situations and everything like this. So, you have to take your responsibility and roll in that and not just try to shift the blame on anyone. And then there's also a bit of hopefulness, like with Falling Into Place, Lose Myself, trying to actually, be like, yeah, there is hope out there for me. Love isn't always a painful endeavor. So yeah, I like it. I think it shows my growth.
I saw a quote from you saying that Comfortable, which is track 1 on the EP, I believe, is one of your favourite releases so far. Why is that?
Oh, man. I wrote that song back in 2020, and back then I loved it. And it just didn't sound like anything else or anybody else. And it was the first time I think I wrote something that I was like, wow, this just sounds like me and exactly what, I'm feeling. And that's hard to do. Like we just talked about, you hear so much stuff. But that one really, I'm quite specific with my lyricism as well. So, I talk about stuff and I don't really beat around the bush too much about it. So, I felt like I said everything I needed to say and it just came together in a beautiful way.
And what about Falling Into Place? Because we've been playing that. I love that song. And Debbie has an amazing voice as well. Tell us, first of all, a bit about how that collaboration came about.
Oh, Debbie's incredible. You know what? That came about through busking as well. I invited her down to come sing with me, and she was like, yeah, she was a bit nervous, but she killed it. And I sang a few of her songs because I'm a big fan of Debbie's, and then she agreed to sing some of mine. I showed her Falling Into Place, and she sang that verse, and I was like, yeah, this sounds too good for it to just be for these 12 people and like 13 pigeons. Like, we need to make this proper. And then she was down, and we finished the song together, and she took it to a new place, and it sounds beautiful.
All these songs, obviously it's a collection of songs, like you say, there's 4 there. Were these all songs that you had beforehand then when you was out busking, or did you go out to try them busking before you put the EP together?
Yeah, man. A lot of the songs that I release, I have field tested them,
nice.
on the streets. Most of the songs on that EP, in fact, all of them, I wrote a few years ago. So yeah, they've been tried and tested.
Yeah, the streets don't lie, man. The streets don't lie. The streets don't lie at all.
No, they're very honest.
No, it's perfect. It's a good flow. It's lovely. Your voice, honestly, is amazing. And that track with Debbie, I think, again, both of you, when you've got 2 amazing voices like that, you sit there and question about how isn't this the biggest song out there right now? How isn't this song with the vocal?
Thank you, man.
It is so good. And Debbie is one of those artists where you're like, do you know what? If Ray's gone and done what she's done, Debbie's next.
Mate, absolutely, bro, absolutely. Like,
she's amazing.
There's no stopping her.
No, not at all. Well, look, we're loving Falling Into Place. We just spoke about Debbie and your love for Debbie. What about some other artists at the moment? We spoke about genres earlier on, and your Spotify playlist. Who else are you loving right now that's not Debbie and Teddy Swims? There must be a few.
Good question. All right, I think there's some new artists I've been loving. David, I absolutely love. I think he's incredible. Obviously, I've been listening to Billy's new album. A guy called Steven Sanchez as well, killing it. His song High is incredible. But there's some, more UK based artists like Griff, Maisie Peters that have been, like, I think they're both, well, Griff's got a new album coming, which I think is going to be incredible. Sam Tompkins as well, a friend of mine, he's releasing an album soon. There's so much talent around. It's a bit scary, but it's great.
Everyone's a fan of Griff at the moment. Taylor Swift as well, like, done a big shout out after she played her set there.
She must have been buzzing, man.
I was so jealous seeing all those clips over the weekend of everyone at Taylor Swift. It was just like, why wasn't I there?
I hear that she is on stage for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, so you wonder how it works. They had like Griff and Benson Boone and all sorts of artists playing. So they went on first, and then it's Paramore for like an hour. And then it's Taylor Swift for like 3.5 hours. And you're just like,
oh my God.
I mean, I know she's got a back catalogue, but how many costumes is my bigger deal?
Like, I don't understand. No. I don't understand.
You better get those vocal cords warmed up.
I hope not. The way I sing, it's not like Taylor Swift, though. I sing with a lot. It takes a lot of effort.
Are you just about to do a Dave Grohl "We're Singing Live" rant about Taylor Swift?
Not even.
Victor, don't pick on the Swifties. Be careful.
No. Definitely not. Swifties, if you're listening, not trying to say nothing like that. I'm just saying, I had to sing to people on the streets. People were very far away. I had to do a bit of shouting. And luckily, Taylor doesn't have to sing like that. So, you know what I mean?
Love you, Taylor.
Love you, Taylor.
Oh, I love that. Well, look, Victor, thank you so much for jumping on. As I said, we're loving Falling Into Place. We're loving I Tried. Please go check it out. One last question. What about other shows this summer? We spoke about Coco in London. What else are you looking forward to getting up to this summer? Because the weather's getting us in such a good mood.
I know. It's only been here for 2 days, but I'm so excited. I've got a couple of festivals I'm doing Down the Rabbit Hole, Montreux Jazz Festival, and then I've got my European tour, which Coco is going to be the first stop on that tour. And I'm also going to be supporting Tom Grennan for a couple of shows this summer, which will be amazing. Man, there's a lot going on. I'm excited.
Well, Victor, if you do manage to get a beach day and you venture down to Kent, make sure you give us a shout, and thank you for joining us today. Cheers, mate.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.